Hey gang, today we are taking a look at what might become the future of tone capturing with the IK Multimedia ToneX. What is this? This is the capture box. ToneX is actually software inside your computer or DAW. And IK Multimedia know a lot about software inside your computer. They've been a long time player in the plugin game. From T-Racks all the way through endless models of EQs, compressors, and Amplitude, which is one of the top amp sims. So now ToneX is a standalone capturing software and playback software, really. And it also fits in as like a component into Amplitude 5. So back to what is this? This is the hub that your amp and microphones and computer and line in, line out all run through this guy so that you can capture your favorite tones, and then the IK neural network of supercomputer will go through and recreate that in your DAW. I've got a tone dialed in with what has long been my favorite amp, the Friedman Dirty Shirley Mini. Check it out. And I love this pedal, the Tim Pierce Overdrive from Rocket Audio. So cool. That's just the power amp setting. It's like a cool boost. So that's a really nice tone. I could use that for a million different things. Let's see if we can capture this tone. This is the ToneX software. Moving forward, I'm going to call this a guitar, call this an amp and a cab. One thing you cannot capture is delays and compressors, and only the amp tone. This section very nicely walks you through the setup. So you tell it what your interface is, what you're monitoring out of, and then it just goes one by one. How are you going to send to your rig from your interface? Okay, I'm sending it out of analog 3. And then what else needs to get plugged in? Well, my guitar is going in the instrument line. In this case, it's instrument line 3 in the front. How is the microphone getting into your interface? It's all very clearly laid out. Here it's asking me to check the guitar level. Now that that's set, we'll move on to the next page. This one, to be honest, I don't know what it's asking me, so we're just going to skip on right past. Now you're going to audition your actual amp tone as you are playing through it and listen to what ToneX is hearing. What's really cool is you don't even have to be a good guitar player because they have built-in guitar players inside the ToneX. Check this out. That also gives you a chance to make sure you're not overloading the mic inputs. Now we've made it to the capture page. You may want to get a drink because this is a lot longer process than something like the Kemper. And also you'll notice that there's a guitar player inside your ToneX, which is nice because some of the other capturing devices you have to play. And like, man, don't put me to work. You're a computer, you do the work. So let's go. There we go. That ran for just over 4 minutes. And for just over 4 minutes, your neighbors are going to think you're a total guitar ninja at cranked volumes. We have all of our data collected, and we're moving on to the Neural Creation Center. Here there are 3 different approaches. They take a long time. This is not like the Kemper where you quickly profile, move on to the next one. You're like, no, that one's junk, throw it out. Do it again. Do it again. No. This is slow and methodical. Even on the fast setting, I believe it runs for about 10 minutes. So on the highly detailed setting, we're looking at least a half hour, maybe closer to an hour. I'm not sure if it depends on your computer speed or not, but it's one of those things where you set and then you go and do stuff. However, what's a nice thing is you could just jump over to the ToneX player side and you could jam out on. It's fully functional while it's thinking in the background. For this test, I'm gonna do the default, and I guess I'm gonna go take a shower or something. All right, look at me, I'm a new man. Let's see where we're at. 65%. It's been 17 minutes and we're at 65%. So I guess I'll go watch Lord of the Rings or something. I'll be back. It finished. Okay, so that was about 25 minutes-ish. Now you get to this cool page where you get to review, and you can jump back and forth between the model and your real amp. And if you want to play, you can. If not, you could just use the guitar player inside ToneX again. Check this out. And you can switch to live input and you're back in. There was a couple times jumping back and forth. I thought I heard a little more sort of air top end presence on the real amp. You know, it's kind of hard to tell without doing like a double blind A/B test, but it's pretty close. You know, it's not one of those things where I feel like you're just gonna go, I'm gonna capture my entire library, because it's a to-do. It's a little long, but to be honest, I would rather know that I'm capturing it to the best that technology can capture it. I mean, how many other things are out there where on your computer it takes a half hour to render or an hour to render? Nothing. In a lot of other platforms, I've jumped from like an AC30 to a Plexi, and you go, they kind of sound 80% the same. These do feel like there's an extra depth to them, and it feels like top to bottom there's a little more three-dimensional space behind the frequencies, rather than just here's the frequencies and they're pasted up hard to you. There's a richness around it. The metal stuff didn't seem as like tight chunk, but anything lower than metal sounded fantastic. And what's cool is the cleans also sounded really cool. They weren't just like a direct guitar sound. All right, so let's have a go with this bad boy. Yep, I'm losing it. This is the Mesa Quad preamp, famous for being a player in the Metallica days. Dan Huff was a big user of these in his racks and stuff. And they, you know, Vernon Reid, they just made their way around. And it's classic Mesa Boogie Super Scoop. And traditionally has given other modelers an absolute nightmare to capture this. So let's see how this does with a more high gain sort of sound. And I'm kind of close to the amp, so it's whistling at me, but it's heavy. Let's see if this capture can do it. So between the real amp, the ToneX, and the Kemper, the real amp is awesome and glorious. The ToneX almost sounded like it went in and like an engineer refined it a little bit. Like, let's trim that fatty bottom, give it some more clarity. As a result, in some ways you got a more focused sound, but it wasn't quite that bloomy, scoopy, soft, sort of soft and tight at the same time Mesa thing. But then you heard with the Kemper, like the Kemper didn't know what to do with that. And again, the Kemper does great at some things, but I picked the absolute most Kemper killing profiling match here. It really doesn't know what to do with all of that scoop and all of that monstrous bottom end. And the ToneX handled it really well. I mean, it delivered something that was very representative of it. And I think, you have a nice parametric EQ that sounds really nice inside ToneX. And you're in the computer anyway, so you could just do a little dip or add a little like bottom and you could get back there. But it sounded good. I'm very happy with it. Again, it kind of did a miracle because up to this point, nothing can capture that really. So pretty awesome. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna cut it off here because I could just do this indefinitely. But man, the ToneX is really great. It is doing a more accurate capture than the ones before it. Keep in mind, if you want to use the ToneX live, right now your options are to run a laptop scenario or an iPad. If you're going to run it in a studio, it comes up in your DAW or as standalone. It's really straightforward there. If you want to buy it, it comes in several versions. They all come with the capture box and the same software version. That's all the same. The difference is how many of the IK supplied captures you're going to get, including like this Dumble that they have and some really nice Marshalls and an array of modern and vintage amps. So if you're really looking for like a ton of captures, that's there. But if you're just capturing for yourself, you could go for one of the lower models and do one of them. Cool, gang. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you want to take a minute and click a thumbs up, if you're still here, if you do me that favor, and please write in the comments, what did you think? Was it close enough for you? Okay, gang, see you later.